Hi, I'm Lindsay Perkins. I'm doing my presentation on Scream 5, the newest Scream that came out in 2022. The title of my presentation is The Role Women Play in Slashers, The First to Final Girl, A Look at Scream 5. Give me a second. Okay. Warning, there are spoilers ahead, major spoilers for some, but I do not reveal Ghostface's identity. I do state that one person is not Ghostface, but I do not say who Ghostface is. Content warning, there's violence, murder, gore, graphic injuries, and traumatic events. Oh no, oh no. Okay, the agenda. I will discuss the role of the first girl, the female safe space, and the taking back of the narrative by the final girls. So the role of the first girl. For Scream 2022, this is Tara Carpenter. The first girl introduces the woman of the film in a submissive position to the killer Ghostface. Tara is placed in this position throughout the film due to her injuries and being marked as the first target of Ghostface. This angle that is portrayed, especially in the opening scenes of the film, with Tara answering the phone and then being harassed by Ghostface, places the female characters in the role where they can be seen as needing protection. She is frequently attacked and targeted by Ghostface. This targeting places her, Tara, in situations where the female characters are seen as incapable of taking on the killer. The first girl is usually the first individual to perish in a slasher film, and with the original Scream, Drew Barrymore's character dies right at the beginning. Yet Tara breaks this stereotype and breaks this pattern with Scream films by surviving her initial encounter with Ghostface. And so we have a warning ahead. There's a visual of a stabbing in a hand and a knife, but there is no blood. So this is Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega. She's the first girl. She can be seen here placed in the submissive position that reflects onto the other female characters of the film. She's physically hindered in her hands, which is the main focal point for the female gaze in much of cinema. She does not have the ability to flee or fight with Ghostface domineering over her. This is counteracted with her efforts throughout the film. She does what she can to get free from her role as the perceived submissive in relation to Ghostface multiple times. Every time Ghostface comes for her, she fights, she flees. She does everything that she physically can to get away and not fall into her role and her stereotype as the first girl who perishes. Which brings us to the female safe space. Suburbia and women's position in it coming back upon them. The female characters of the film end up attacked a majority of the time at or inside of the home. The character Wes's mom, there's a character named Wes in the film, and his mom is killed at their home. Tara is attacked inside their home. And the major fight with Ghostface takes place at the home. The home has been deemed a space where women are safe due to it being their base for activities, which does play into a little bit of sexism because of the whole, women belong at the house thing, but there's also the whole angel of the house idea. And the main turning point against Ghostface takes place in one of these spaces, which it takes place in the heart of the home, the domestic space, the kitchen. Tara is located in the domestic space, the kitchen, which should show her being safe and protected, which can be seen here. She is instead being targeted and encased within her own home as she tries to prepare for an event with her girlfriend, Amber. And I say girlfriend romantically because the two are dating. which is the general consensus. In the academic article, The Gendered Architecture of the Home in Cinematic Space, Suzanne Cohen writes that some women feel like prisoners in their own homes, having no private space within their house. Page 303. This primarily is talking about how women do not have their own space in their homes, and it is instead the family space. In terms for Scream 5, this can relate for Tara as she is in her private space and is home alone. She is not allowed to have the sense of protection and is instead trapped like a prisoner by Ghostface stalking her and targeting her. Which takes us now to the final girls, the ones who take back the narrative and bring about the final stand against Ghostface. The female characters who are not incapacitated, which there's only 3 of, or 4 of, 3 final girls, 3 or 4 final girls, have taken it upon themselves to stop Ghostface. This has happened in previous Scream movies, but Scream 5 ties directly back to the original film on this. The characters Sam Carpenter, who is new, Sidney Prescott, and Gail Weathers, both those last 2 are from the original Scream. All are connected together in that they are the ones to take back the story and be the ones to stop Ghostface in their films. For Sam, her relation back to the original film is the definition of taking back the narrative and being the final girl. This is the major spoiler warning, and there will be major spoilers for the remainder of this presentation. So stop here if you do not want to hear it. Sam is Billy Loomis's illegitimate daughter. He was one half, considered the mastermind of the original Ghostface in the 1996 film. Having her positioned aside the 2 other original final girls shows how the women in the film and franchise rise above their position and take back their narrative. The women of the film do not allow the killers to be the ones to control the story, but rather take that initiative away from them. Warning ahead, there is a gun visual, but there is no blood. So we have Sam Carpenter, Tara Carpenter, the first girl's half-sister. And Sam is the final girl, so they are tied directly to one another. Sam Carpenter, as previously stated, is Billy Loomis's illegitimate daughter. She is speculated about throughout the film to be Ghostface because of her dad, but is proven not to be through her actions and through circumstances because of how she is adamantly trying to not be her dad, how she is adamantly trying to protect her sister, which is everything unlike what her father does in the original film. She is not her father and does not have any desire to be like him. During one of her fights with Ghostface, she is able to overpower them and become the dominant one before taking Ghostface out, which is standard for a Scream film because Ghostface, the only way to get rid of Ghostface is to kill them, is to shoot them in the head, to get them in the head. That has been understood. That is stated by Sidney and Gail in the film. Because the killer always comes back. And that is what they think is happening with Sam. But Sam is not her dad. She is not the killer having come back. She utters the line, "Don't fuck with a serial killer's daughter," which marks her ties back to the original story, but also shows how it's changed. She is the one in control of the narrative. She is playing off of what her father did to stop it from happening again. She has control of the narrative. She has the control of her own narrative and is not subject to being submissive to her father's reputation. in people's expectations and ideas of her any longer. Which brings us to the final girls, where they have taken control and taken out Ghostface. And the scene just shows how the final girls take back control of the events of the night from Ghostface. It also marks how the women in the franchise will continue to do so, as they are the two original final girls, Sydney Prescott on the far left, or the far right, and Gail Weathers on the far left. They show how the narrative of the film and the story of the killer cannot overpower the female characters as well, through Sam and her connection to Billy Loomis, her father, and Sam is in the middle, which highlights her as the new final girl who has entered into the group of final girls who have taken out a killer, who have stopped a killer from taking away people's stories, taking away their narrative, taking away their visual and perspectives, and having turned the story of Billy Loomis on its head by highlighting his daughter as part of the people who have stopped what he started. Sam did not become Ghostface like her dad, but rather a final girl like his ex-girlfriend, Sydney. Thank you for listening and viewing. I very much enjoyed watching Scream 5. I was a little disappointed at that some characters were not in it. I will not spoil any more than I have. It is very much worth a watch. It's so much better than Scream 4. Scream 4 was horrid. As I tried to watch some of the others, not good. First one's great. Fifth one, good. Watch it if you want. Here's my We're Excited page. Scream 5 was directed by Matt Bettinelli Olpen and Tyler Gillette. Performances by Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Maggie Madison, Melissa Barrera, and Courtney Cox. Paramount Picture Studios 2022. And Cohen Susan wrote her thing, and it was published in the early 2000s. Thank you so much.